coming in. Yeah. Ay, coming in.
Hi Mike.
Hi, how you doing?
How you doing?
Good, bro.
Salama bana.
Yeah, how
nice
you?
to have you here.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
It's Father's Day.
Yeah.
Umetuletea guest hapa.
Look at guest. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Jason.
Yes, Jason. How you doing?
I'm good.
You're well? You're having fun today?
Yeah.
You're celebrating your dad? Are you sure? That's so dope. Jason, I need to look at the camera and I need to tell our audience what you want to be when you grow up.
Okay. So, I would like to be a scientist. I want to solve world problems and end hunger and help poor people.
Lovely. Love that.
And he's also a YouTuber.
Yeah, you're also a YouTuber.
Yeah. Tell the viewers your YouTube channel.
Yeah, my YouTube channel is called The Adventures of Jason Wachira. Go over there and subscribe and hit the notification bell.
Yeah, we'll have the link down in the description. And lovely guests we have here.
Okay, absolutely. And this is, so as part of Father's Day, you know, here's proof I'm a father, first of all. You can see we look.
Yeah,
do we look alike? People say we look alike. I don't know.
Just in hair.
I used to have dreads at some point.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I used to have dreads at some point. So he's always clowning me about my pictures with the dreadlocks.
Yeah.
And so we decided, yeah, why not? Let's. It's a good look on him as well.
Yeah, it really is. Actually.
Yeah.
It gives him character.
Yeah, it does. It does. Should I grow my dreads again?
So today you guys are shopping.
Yeah.
You're ready to make him go broke.
Yeah.
Yes.
He already knows
Finish all the money.
You just finish all the money.
All of it.
What's the first store you want to go to?
What is it called?
Toizuna. Yeah. That's where all the money is ending.
That's the first place.
That's where what do you want to get?
Everything.
You can't get everything. You have to pick one thing.
Can't.
What?
If you combine our money, we can.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So your savings plus mine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
We get everything. All right, cool. We'll see what we can get.
I just wanna win.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
if you know me, there's nothing I enjoy more in this world than having conversations with people like you. People who've trailblazed, people who've pushed through all their passion points. They've explored everything, and none more remarkably than you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
You're
that.
a husband, you're a father, clearly. There's proof today.
Yes, proof.
You're a radio presenter, TV presenter, you are an MC, you're a DJ, you're also a humanitarian lawyer.
Yeah.
How are you able to do all these things together in a span of a career that has taken you 13 years?
Yeah, about 13 years. Well, actually, it's more because the work I do for human rights law I've done for about 17 years now.
So that started a lot
So
earlier.
yeah, that started a lot earlier.
Yeah.
But things like DJing and those, I mean, I've been a DJ since 1997. And I don't look it, but yeah, mimi mzee.
Who was DJing then? Were they equipment?
But no, because look, when I started DJing, we were DJing with cassettes. Then we went to turntables. Then we went to CDs. Then we went to, you know, everything else that you see now. So me, when I began started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's Ogopa days.
Yeah, not even before Ogopa days, man. That's like way back. Way back.
Oh gee.
Those days it was Pinye and Gitch Boy and a couple of other people who were doing.
Yeah, that's before Codred.
Yeah, that's way before Codred. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And then that brought you into. So how did law? Because you did your law degree outside Kenya.
Yeah, I did my law degree in India, so that's actually even where I learned how to DJ. But that's also where I learned, you know, a lot of things about being independent. Because I was out of the country at a very young age, at about 19. So that's why I learned how to be independent, how to hustle, how to pursue those passion points that we're talking about. And because I surrounded myself with people who had the same kind of vision that I did. And so it was really important for me to be able to be in that environment where I could, you know, pursue my talents and turn them into skills that pay the bills. Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant.
And so for me, I mean, it's not been too difficult to balance all those things. First of all, I think also because of the way my mind works, I'm able to do, you know, people, and I always say this, people who've got ADHD It's attention deficit disorder. Now mine was attention deficit hyper disorder. You know.
Also, you have both inattentiveness.
Inattentiveness. So in class, I was a terrible student in class.
Yeah.
I was unable to sit and listen to lecture style sort of classroom.
Yeah.
You know, where the teacher is just talking at you for 8 hours. I couldn't do that.
Systemic structure.
Yeah. You know, very structured. So for people who are creative, it's finding it very difficult in those sorts of formal settings.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing something creative, or you've been given a problem to solve where you can apply your creativity and your mind.
Yeah.
And that's why I say the education system in Kenya fails people like us.
Yeah.
So it's not us who fail education, it's the education that fails us. Because they don't have the type of environment where creatives can thrive. But then I got to understand, I became very self-aware quite early, and I got to understand that I have other things that I can do which make me just as great as that person who got 99 in maths.
Yeah.
You know. And so when I understood that, then I started exploring what are these talents that I have. I used to draw, I could do fine art. At some point I even tried rapping.
How did that go?
You have the voice for it? That was a long time ago.
Are there tapes?
Yeah, no, like, thank God there are none. Then, you know, I got into DJing. Then from there it was just progressive. You know, once you've understood yourself and the talents that you have, it's now just up to you to understand how to completely explode them and explore them to the fullest.
Yeah. When did you know you have ADHD?
I think when I was in college is where I discovered it.
Yeah.
So
were you diagnosed?
No, I wasn't diagnosed, but you know, I could see all this. I mean, when I started doing research about it, I could tick off all the boxes. This is the thing. Yeah. But then I got to understand that my inability to be able to focus on very formal, mundane, administrative things.
Yeah.
While some might look at it as a handicap, I chose to look at it as a strength. As a superpower. Because what does that mean? It means that I'm able to focus very, very well on creative things.
Yeah.
And I can do that for a long time.
And you hyper-focus,
actually. And I'm hyper-focused on creative things. And then I can do multiple creative things without getting burnt out or tired. So then I started asking myself, okay, good. If I'm good at focusing on creative things, why don't I look for many creative things that I can do and which can earn me money? So I use my passion and my talents, turn them into skills, and then I can have that work for me.
Yeah.
So then I started realizing, I can do my human rights law from 8 to 5. Then from 5 to another hour, I could do something else, and so on and so forth. So as a matter of fact, when I first began, this was in 2002, when I joined Kenya School of Law here. I was earning 5,000 shillings a month. It was nothing, because I was doing pupillage, like our attachment. So I was earning 5,000 bob a month, so I couldn't live off that. So that's when I started DJing in a club where I was earning 6 times that amount. And then, so I used to work from 8 to 5. And then at 8 p.m. I start DJing until 1 a.m. So then I asked myself, between 5 when I leave the office and 8 when I start DJing, I can do something in the middle there. So that's when I started thinking, maybe I can get a radio show to fill in that gap and earn some money there.
And you applied straight.
Exactly. So one day I was sitting in the office and I was flipping through the Friday newspaper, and they had the Pulse magazine. And this is 2007. And then I saw Homeboys were starting a radio station. And so I thought, okay, maybe I should go try. And then when I went to audition,
a lot of people were auditioning.
Oh, when I got there, there were like 1,000 guys in the car park. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to wait for all these guys. Like, this is going to be too much. And then God works in very mysterious ways. And I always tell people. So one of the directors of Homeboys at that time is called Alf Rabah. Alf Rabah lived in the same block where my mom lived. And so even before I went to do the audition, I already knew Alf because I'd see him around the neighborhood. So he'd come out, we'd talk and we'd chat and be like, yeah, I'm going to DJ over here. And he's like, I'm also a DJ, and we talk. So when I get there, who do I meet in the car park? Alf.
And did you know they were behind it?
Yeah, so I knew they were the ones, but I mean, I had not gone there to look for Alf. But when I get there at the car park, Alf is there. And so he's like, oh, you're here for the auditions. Come. So he petitions me, I go in, I do the auditions, and I leave. And then 2 weeks later, they call me and they're like, yeah, you've got the position.
Really?
Yeah.
And so, you hadn't trained?
So now they started training us there. So when they told me I got the position, we went through like about a month or two of training, and then we went on air.
And that started your entertainment career.
That started my entertainment career.
Which
so now,
the DJ started it actually.
So the DJ started. So now here I'm working 3 jobs a day.
Yeah, because there's humanitarian
there's the law work
there's
I'm doing.
TV.
There's the law work.
Yeah.
There's radio.
There's radio, yeah.
After I finish radio, I go to the club to DJ.
Oh yeah, there's all these things coming together.
So those are 3 jobs in a day.
And then there's TV sporadically.
Yeah, and then
that
TV.
comes
So
through.
yeah, so TV came in a bit later, and I was like, okay, fine, I want to do TV. Then I went and did so many auditions, never got called, and I was like, okay, fine, so maybe TV is not for me. But then this is what I always tell people, that God will give you what you want when you're ready for it, not when you want it to happen.
Yeah.
So that's been my experience in life. Every
Yeah.
time I wanted something to happen, it
Yeah.
didn't necessarily happen at the time I wanted it to,
Yeah.
but it happened when I was ready
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
And so even TV at that time, I don't think I was ready for TV, even though I wanted it. But by going through all these auditions, at least now people were able to get me on tape and could see. And so then I was called, and I think the first TV show I did was a lottery show on TV. I had no TV experience prior to that. And so I'm the kind of person who, I'm a go-getter. When I want something, I just go and do it. And sometimes I go and do it without even thinking about it. So it hit me that I'm going to be on national TV doing a show the day we aired the first show. So we'd been doing rehearsals before that.
Yeah.
You know, you're in rehearsals, you can mess up and you can, you
Yeah.
know, take it again.
And it was live.
The actual TV show was live. So the
Wow.
rehearsals, of course, we did rehearsals for
Yeah.
like about 3 or 4 weeks before the actual show
Yeah.
aired.
Yeah.
The night when the show was airing, and I'm
Yeah.
standing there on the set,
Yeah.
and there are people all around me,
Yeah.
and they're counting it down, saying 10, 9, 8. Is when it hit me. Oh my God!
I'm about to
I'm
go
about to go on live on national TV.
And other people have the benefit of starting in a recorded format.
Pre-recorded
You're
formats.
going-
I'm
you're
like,
going.
oh my God, it's going to be live. But then I told myself, even if I mess up, this is how I think. Even if I mess up, I'll only mess up once, and then it can't get worse than that. It can only get better.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we killed it, and I did the show for about 2 years.
It went really well.
Yeah, it went really well. Did the show for about 2 years, and then yeah, after that, it was so funny. So then, I was still working on radio at the time, and then this show came to an end, and I was thinking, so how do I get back on TV? I'm not too sure about it. And so again, God works in mysterious ways. Shafi Weru was doing a show with Betty Chalo on K24. And Shafi was one of the contributors on Betty Chalo's show. Now, for some reason or the other, Shafi never used to show up. So he'd call me and be like, wait, go cover for me and do the show, right? So I'll be like, cool. He'd be like, yeah, I'm in costume, I'm seeing a gig, I can't come, you go and cover for me. So I'll be like, cool, so I go and cover. And so that's how I started getting on to K24. So it was Betty, Valentine Joroge, Shafi Weru, and then I would come to cover Shafi once in a while. And then once Betty Chalo and that whole crew of people left K24, Valentine Joroge went and pitched a show to K24 and then said, guess who I want to co-host with? Mike. Yeah.
Because you had built a rapport.
Because they built a rapport, plus I also went to primary school with her.
Oh,
so
yeah,
yeah. It's like, yeah, I know this guy. So yeah, and that's how now I found myself doing the show that I do on Fridays.
And you still are able to balance all
I'm
this.
still able to balance it.
That's lovely, man.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And then recently, after a span of over a decade at Homeboys, you switched to
Smooth FM. Yeah.
I saw your tweet and you're picking up the Rabah brothers, G-Money, and your colleagues at the show.
Yeah.
Was it an emotional moment?
Yeah, I think it was
And what drove the decision?
I think it was okay. So what drove the decision was a couple of things. One is because the direction the station was going. It was looking for very young voices, and it was looking for a more youthful look. And so I think the decision was made that they wanted to keep the younger presenters while they transition some of the other more experienced presenters to the other stations that the Radio Africa group had. And so, because Homeboys focuses on 18 to 24 male. So at the age where I am now, I was like, that kind of content is not necessarily where I'm at in life. So let me look for another platform where I can go and talk about things that are more relevant for people who are my age. And so Smooth FM was a good transition for me. And anyway, all those stations are on the same floor.
Yeah.
So
same family.
Yeah, same family. So
same
I got to see all these guys every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a bit emotional because myself and G Money, I think, were at that time the only original presenters who began with Homeboys in 2007. I think now G is the only
one remaining.
He's the last man standing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Corinne?
Yeah, and Corinne. So G Money, myself, and Corinne. Yeah.
For a long time, and I follow you closely, you've used your social presence to push a strong narrative against misogyny, against patriarchy, and through this, because I remember even how we were raised, like the role of a father, even when they came into like a room, like it was just pin drop silence, people were just sitting upright.
Yeah, or you run away.
Like the TV is there. It's like there's a level of tension around the role of like the presence of our dads in the family. And I've seen your relationship with Jason. What do you think is the role of new age parents in forging paths for their kids moving forward?
No, I think it's important. You see, one of the reasons why I think we have a crisis of masculinity in this country nowadays is because of the way we were raised, and you're right around the issue of patriarchy. So men were raised from boys to men to believe that we are protectors, providers, managers of resources, and decision makers. And while that was true back in the day because of the environment that we're living in, you know, you were living in a space where, in a time where a warring clan could come from the neighboring village and, you know, plunder and steal and take everything. So you had to be a protector.
Yeah,
you know,
the stronger,
because you were physically strong, you could fight. And then you had to be a provider because how are you also getting your resources? You are going to that same village to plunder and bring back. And so because you brought back the resources, you were the decision maker around how resources were used. And because you were away while you were doing all that, your wife was the one taking care of the homestead and the children. So it naturally made sense that women would stay home and take care of, you know, the home, while men were out there doing whatever they were doing. But now we're in a day and age where there's no warring clan coming, there's no, you know, and women are more empowered, they've got voice power and agency. And they've got the education. And so men are now finding themselves a bit lost in terms of where do I fit in? And I've been told that these are the roles that I should play, yet my partner is capable of doing all that on her own.
By herself.
So that's why you hear people saying things like, mwanamke anaendesha gari na mimi sina gari. You know, which is sad because you are raised to believe that you're more dominant because of these roles you play. But now women are able to play all those roles and they don't necessarily need you there. Probably better. So we're now in an age where we're not looking at competition or dominance. We're looking at partnerships. Where we're saying you bring something to the table, I bring something to the table. If you can't cook but you can clean, I can cook and you clean, and vice versa. You know, so it's a partnership. And a lot of men are struggling to understand that it's a partnership, and that women are advancing at a very fast rate, while men are sort of stagnated here.
Or even tipping.
Exactly. So we kind of stagnated here, and a lot of men are thinking that the empowerment of women should stop, or women should be brought back down to this level, and so that men are a bit higher and can now dominate again. But that's not going to happen. Women are still going to continue advancing. So unless we as men see that and begin to nurture boys to be able to understand they are living in a day and age where there's equity and equality, and we're moving towards partnerships in relationships, boys and men will still continue suffering. So what's the role of fathers then? I think the role of fathers is to first understand that, and then build a relationship with your children, which is very important. A lot of our parents didn't have relationships with us. It was authoritative. It was you do, go, stop doing. How much did you get in your exams? Have you done your homework? Who was that you were playing with? And then discipline. So that was our relationship with our parents. But now the kind of relationship like I have with my son is one where we can talk about anything. You know, I believe my role in his life is to prepare him for this world. The school will teach him academics, maths, English, all that. My role is to teach him how to engage with this world that's out here, how to understand, how to become self-aware, how to understand what his talents are, how to turn those talents into skills. Those skills can then earn him a living, but more importantly, can help him make a difference in the lives of other people. And that's what will give him purpose. And once he gets purpose, then he's happy and he's fulfilled. That's my role as a father. Yeah.
And without shaping careers.
Without absolutely. So my role also is to expose him, because so when I understood that I had ADHD and I understood what the symptoms of that were, I recognized the same things in him. So even in school, when the teacher tells me that, oh, you know, he's fidgeting in class and all, I understand. So I'm not going to come and punish him or anything. My work will be now, understanding that he's struggling with the same things I struggled with, is to help him find a way to overcome that struggle and not look at it as a disability. So how can I help him understand or find a way he can focus a bit better, be a bit better at planning, be a bit less fidgety. So it's my job to give him those tools. So that's what I'm saying when I talk about preparing him to be self-aware and also preparing him for the world.
Yeah, and to connect that, because we are seeing a world right now where if we looked back 10 years ago and someone said, even look at all the interviews from CEOs, look at all the people we idolized around the world and what they were able to accomplish. They all pushed a narrative that meant we should work 60, 80 hours a week. We should push ourselves. We should always, even as men, like always fight to be at the top. And it revolves around the concept of meritocracy. And even entrepreneurs like Elon Musk right now, in a world that we exist in right now, would push such a narrative, but you'd see a lot of cringing faces. You'd see people who are now trying to see what's a balance of a quality life and offering value to the world in a way that you get value back. And you're a humanitarian lawyer, and your work is to fight for dignified human lives. What's the link between being mentally stable and healthy enough to earn a living and the type of work you're doing?
I think it all boils down to your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you working 80, 90, 100 hours a week? You know, what are you trying to achieve? What is it you're trying to achieve? And if you peel all those layers and look back, you'll find people are either trying to prove something to either themselves or to their families or to their parents, you know, that they can be successful. And that is then what becomes the idea of success. Working yourself to almost to the point where you're passing out and you have no time for your own personal development because you're grinding. You know, we have now this hustler narrative, yeah? That, you know, me, I'll hustle. I'm there for the hustle. But why are you hustling? You know, and then when is it enough?
Yeah.
You know, so we don't talk about that balance. And I'll take it again back to parenting, because when we were kids and you're asked by your parents, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you innocently say, I want to be a bus driver. I want to be a police officer. And your parents will be able to tell you, no. If police officers are corrupt people, they're people who failed in school, they're not good people. If you become a police officer, you'll never live a good life. Look at how these guys are living, you know. So
they actually extended that to even dignified courses or units or professions. Like if you say you want to be a journalist, they'll be like, okay, so you want to fight for the 8 sports.
Exactly.
So beyond that, yeah.
So when your parents are telling you all those things, what they're planting in your mind is that success is material. Success means I have to get a good job, earn money, live in a certain neighborhood, marry a certain type of person, into a certain type of family, take my kids to a certain type of school, and then I'll be happy. And so you strive to achieve all that, and that's why now you're working 80, 90 hours a week, because you're like, you're either studying that much because I want to be an engineer, a pilot, or a doctor, because you're told those are the only courses that you can do. And then I have to live in Runda, I have to drive a certain kind of car, I have to marry a certain... So you're trying to achieve all these milestones, and then you achieve them, and then you realize, I'm still not happy. You know? And then you start asking yourself, what's missing? And what's missing is the fact that you're doing all these things because other people told you that this is what was right for you. You are not self-aware to understand what it is that you naturally do well and build on that, and then use that to better the world around you. Because, Akil, I'll tell you, if you're using your skills and talents to make a difference in the lives of other people, there is nothing more fulfilling than that. There is no check anyone will ever write you, whether it's 1 million shillings or whatever, that will give you the sense of fulfillment you have when you use your talents and you can see you've transformed somebody's life. And that's what drove me even to do the work I do with around issues of women's rights and human rights, the issues of inequality, the issues of discrimination. My belief that everybody was put on this earth to thrive. When God put you on this earth, He gave you specific talents, because He knew those talents are what are going to enable you to thrive on this planet. For somebody else to come and try and introduce an environment that limits your thriving, limits your potential, your exercise of your talents,
and not living a dignified
life. So for me, that really asks me, and I was like, I must try and use all the platforms that I have to reduce, reverse, and completely eradicate that. Because all of us are here to thrive. Yeah.
And it goes down to the basic needs.
Yes.
Having water, shelter,
food.
So that you can use that as a foundation that tomorrow you can build on. But if those are not there, then
you can't. I mean, so everybody has a right to those basic things, And so for me, you cannot thrive if you have no water in your house. You have no electricity. Your kids are not going to school. You can't put food on the table. So if we create an environment where everybody is able to meet those basic needs, then from there we can all thrive. And it's sad for me to see we live in a country and in a time where there are certain powers that very deliberately make sure that a majority of the population never achieve that standard of living where your basic needs are met. And so that's why for me, I really believe in the work that I do, in trying to reverse all these inequalities, in trying to ensure that people are empowered enough to be self-aware and understand their worth, but also giving them the tools, the knowledge, and the capacity to be able to just thrive and look for things that they can do that are meaningful to them, but also make a difference in the world.
There must be moments in your life when things just didn't add up. Because right now, we are seeing consistency. We're seeing 17 years of work put in, of a beautiful child, raised really well. But I'm sure there are those moments when things just didn't add up, and you're like, you know what? Like,
I'm quitting.
I'm done.
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's not all a bed of roses, but I think for me, when those moments come, and they do come, especially if you are pioneering and you're doing things that not many other people are doing. Because when I started doing all these multiple things where I was juggling all these different jobs, I don't know anybody else who was doing that at that point. And I remember so many people would try and discourage me. Like, you're a lawyer, no, stick to law. You can't be a lawyer and then a DJ at night and then you're MCing and then you're on radio and you're on TV. And they're like, no, you can't do that. And I was like, no, you can't do that. I can. You can't. So you deal with that. But I mean, of course, there are times where I sat and I asked myself, what am I doing? And then when times become hard like that, again, you have to revisit your why. And if your why is not strong, if your why why you're doing this is because your dad told you, or your partner is giving you pressure to do it, or society expects you to do it. If your why is not strong, you'll crumble. But if your why is strong, for me, my why has always been, and I tell you what my why is, and I tell this to everybody. The day I meet God, inshallah, day I meet God,
Inshallah.
and God asks me, Mike, I gave you all these talents. I gave you this, I gave you this, I gave you this. What did you do with it? Can you imagine standing there in front of your maker and saying, God, I know you gave me all these things, but I was afraid to do it because of what my neighbors would think, because of what my girlfriend would think, because of what my parents would think. Can you imagine?
It ends up looking very...
Yeah. Can you imagine meeting God and giving that excuse? I was afraid to do it because of what people would think. And he says, I gave you all these talents. You did nothing with them. That's my why. I'm like, I'm afraid to meet my maker and give a flimsy excuse like that. I want to be able to meet my maker and say, God, you gave me all these things, and yes, this is what I did with them.
That's powerful. Yeah. And through that, let's hope you live, I pray that you live a long life before that happens.
I hope so too.
Yeah. And when that happens, you'd have left a son,
yes,
hopefully, who's supposed to thrive well beyond what you've been able to achieve.
Absolutely.
And there's work around humanitarian law and you being a humanitarian champion that you would have loved to have accomplished by that time.
Yeah.
What would you look back and say, okay, so this is my legacy, this is what I've achieved, and I'm peaceful with that?
My legacy, even and the work that I do with all the platforms that I'm on, is I want people to realize that the only thing that can limit them is themselves. And that they should become more self-aware by having moments where they sit and ask themselves, what are these things that are holding me back? And realize that you are born on this earth, and when you are born on this earth, you are born here, you are put here to thrive. And that there are so many things that we learn along the way that limit our capacity to do that. It could be religion, it could be socialization, it could be, just expectations from people around us. There are a lot of things that limit us. And once we understand what are those things that limit us and shake them off and realize that you're here on this earth by yourself to live the best life that you can live, as purposefully as you can, if I can leave this earth knowing that everybody I've interacted with has that understanding, then that will be my legacy. That people were able to shake off all these inhibitions and all these things that are chaining them, and they were able to find what their true purpose is and live it.
I really love that. And just as a parting shot, and very well connected with that, because you've mentioned you've struggled with ADHD.
Yeah.
I relate with you because I was recently diagnosed with ADHD at 32 years of life, and it's put a lot of perspective looking back. I look back and I finally understand when those questions were asked, Akil, are you even listening?
Yeah.
He
doesn't pay attention in class. Yeah.
There's so much potential. All these things are happening around you. You're a waste of potential. You need to work harder. And now I sit back and I realize, okay, so because of my condition and it's mental health at the end of the day, I was lucky enough, and life pushed me, even without understanding it, it pushed me to a direction of purpose where I can fully apply myself and fully focus on the creative aspects of my life.
Absolutely.
There are so many people out there who are struggling with mental health conditions, trying to find their voice and space within this larger, especially digital economy, where everything you do is amplified to a larger audience. What would be your advice to them? Okay.
In terms of mental health, I think for me, I just want to tell people, for those who are struggling with ADHD, for me, it's not a disability. ADHD is a superpower. If you know how to turn it into it's a superpower. That's why most people look at me and ask me, Mike, how can you do all these things? And I'm like, my ADHD is a superpower. It's literally a superpower.
Yeah.
Because I can keep going 24 hours a day without getting tired.
Yeah.
You know, because I've tapped into something in me everybody else looked at as a disability, but for me it fuels me and drives me. And I'm sure even you are able to do more. Like from here you go and do something else and something else and something else.
Yeah.
And somebody who doesn't have that ability, because for me it's an ability, somebody who doesn't have that ability can't understand what you're doing. And so for me is don't let the labels that are in this world determine who you are and how you think about yourself. So it's up to you to sit quietly, try and understand who you are and the things that you can do, and then apply those. Never mind if no one understands what you're doing. It doesn't matter. This is your journey, it's not theirs. So they can sit on the sidelines and watch and wave, or they can join you. It's that simple. No one, they don't have to understand what you're doing, and it's okay. It's not their journey, it's yours.
Yeah. And when it gets too tough, you can get help. Therapy works.
Absolutely.
Talk to friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let people know. Communicate.
Yeah, because it will get difficult. It will get difficult. So my thing is surround yourself with people who think like you. You know, so that then when you're also talking about your struggles, you can find an answer in how they have also dealt with the same struggles. You know, because for people who are creatives, if you're talking to a non-creative about some of the struggles you go through, they won't understand. You know, then you start hearing things like focus and start trying to work harder. So they're going to tell you, they're going to tell you very unhelpful things. So surround yourself with people who think like you. And it doesn't have to be 20 people. It could be 2 or 3 people, and that's fine. Yeah. But you must protect your energy, and you must be around people who also encourage you and motivate you to be the best version of yourself. Yeah.
I love that. I completely love that. And to celebrate you today, as a father, because you've been doing a lot of fathering, you've been celebrating your kid. I think through Junction, the mall, I wanted to find a way to gift you this Father's Day. And I'm trying to have this conversation with you, but trying to visualize what I would be able to get you. So I think we'll just walk around the mall. We'd have the conversation further, and I think I'll be able to figure something out with the Junction Mall as our sponsors today.
Absolutely, man. I love being at the Junction. It's a fantastic place.
Super.
Yeah.
Cheers.
All right.
You can start working
I
out.
just wanna win. Flex.
I have money, and I have someone here called Jason who's going to help me choose a cologne for Mike, the dad. Jason, you ready?
Yes.
We can go in, choose. You ready?
Yeah.
Completely.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
It's Jason's gift to his dad for Father's Day.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
So I can show you a few options.
Yes.
Happy Father's Day, Dad.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much as well. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. This is nice.
Ay, coming in.